The laugh of the galaxy in the center of the galaxy, the Great Council met inside a giant floating space station called Orion's Heart. 12 alien empires were present. They were the rulers of trade, war, and law. And on this day, they had gathered to laugh. Because Earth, small, silent, and forgotten, had just sent a single ship to a galactic war zone. Ambassador Threll, a six-eyed creature from the Zelkar Dominion, could barely hold his laughter. Earth sent one ship? He said, slapping his desk. Not a fleet, not a warning, one. The room echoed with laughter. Even the cold-blooded Vexari warlords chuckled through their metal breathing masks. They must be joking, said Supreme General Hakar of the Graal Empire. A planet with no colonies, no allies, and no army. Another counselor added, Earth didn't even show up during the last invasion. And now they send a single ship into the Red Zone? The Red Zone was a place of death. 3 warring empires were fighting there for control of ancient energy fields. Dozens of fleets were already destroyed. Even advanced civilizations feared to enter. And now, floating silently into that chaos, was a strange black ship. No name, no call sign, just an old Earth signature. Back on the Earth Station Sol 7, no one spoke. Inside the main control room, Commander Elena Reese stood watching the stars. Have they made contact? She asked. No, ma'am, replied her officer. The ship hasn't sent anything since it entered the zone, but the other fleets have stopped transmitting. Elena narrowed her eyes. That means they've seen it. In the red zone at the edge of the Drekar belt, dozens of warships scanned the human ship. It didn't move. It didn't respond. It just floated there. Silent, still, and glowing faintly. General Kos Vental, commander of the Varn Drak fleet, laughed over the comms. A Terran ship this deep in the war zone? What is it doing here, delivering mail? The laughter died a little when his scanners went black. Sir, we've lost radar, a technician said. What? No visual either, it's just gone. Gone? It's right in front of us. They looked out through the viewport. Yes, the ship was still there. But their systems showed nothing. No mass, no motion, no heat. Like it was never there at all. Back at the Great Council, someone finally asked, why would Earth do this? No one had the answer. The human race had stayed quiet for over 300 years. No alliances, no armies. Just research, communication, and silence. Now, their first act in centuries was to send one unarmed ship into the most dangerous place in the galaxy. It didn't make sense, or maybe it made too much sense. Then, across every warship in the red zone, a signal played. Not a voice, not a warning, just a line of text. We remember who started this. We remember who watched. We are not here to fight. We are here to finish it. Within minutes, entire fleets powered down. Weapons failed, command signals were jammed, the human ship didn't move. But it had already won the first move, without a single shot. On the surface of a nearby colony moon, people saw something amazing. Above their atmosphere, the stars seemed to flicker, and then a shadow passed over the moon like a cloud made of steel. Children pointed to the sky. Old soldiers froze in place. Because they knew what it meant. Earth had returned. Back in Orion's Heart, the laughter was gone. Ambassador Threll stared at his screen. The human ship was still in the red zone, but now, all other ships were leaving, running, or going dark. What is it? Someone whispered. No one could answer, because this was not just a ship. It was a message, a quiet one, but powerful enough to shake the galaxy. The ship that didn't answer, the galaxy, was no longer laughing. In the red zone, where thousands of ships once battled, only one ship now remained. It didn't move, it didn't speak, it didn't fire, and yet it had turned the battlefield silent. The massive alien dreadnought Vox Talon approached the Terran ship slowly. Its captain, Gar Telsock, had never lost a battle. He activated the comm system. Unknown Terran vessel. This is Commander Telsock, of the Varn Drak Empire. Identify yourself. No answer. He tried again. And again. Still. Silence. Target scanners online, Telsoc ordered. Nothing. The ship showed no energy signature, no life forms, and no heat. Are we looking at a ghost? Someone asked. Suddenly the Terran ship pulsed, not with weapons, with light. A soft blue ripple moved across its surface, like water bending around steel. In the control room of the Vox Talon, every screen blinked and turned black. Weapons, offline. Shields, failed. Navigation, lost. Then a message appeared. Simple. Cold. We heard you. We chose not to answer. Panic struck the Varn command crew. Fall back, Telsoc shouted. Reverse engines now. But the ship wouldn't move. Its own systems ignored every command. It had been taken. Back in Orion's heart, the Galactic Council received the Vox Talon's final report, a direct link from Telsoc's bridge, full of static and shaking voices. Then came the last words. It's not just a ship. It's a weapon wrapped in silence. Then the screen went dead. Across alien space, other commanders tried to approach the human vessel. All failed. Some ships were disabled. Some were erased, vanished, completely with no wreckage left behind. Others simply stopped mid-space and began drifting, like they had forgotten how to move. One Grail officer tried to scan the human ship with a deep-code AI probe. The AI collapsed in seconds, its core fried, its memory gone, as if the Terran ship had looked at the probe and deleted its future. On Earth, inside the silent control room of the Sentinel Vault, no one celebrated. A single AI monitored the event feed. Its name was Nova, built to think, built to act, built to remember. It whispered one line into the dark. Phase 1 complete. They still do not understand. Meanwhile, on the colony moon below the red zone, citizens watched the black ship glowing in the sky. Some knelt, some cried. One child whispered to her father, "Is it alive?" "No," he said quietly. "It's worse. It's aware." A Terran message suddenly appeared on every galactic channel. "We are not diplomats. We are not conquerors. We are the memory you tried to erase." The galaxy laughed. Now it will listen. And, just like that, the human ship turned, not away from the battlefield, but toward the galactic core, toward the Council, toward every empire that laughed. The tech beyond logic, the Terran ship was now moving, slow, steady, silent. Its direction, the galactic core. Its purpose, unknown. Its threat level, immeasurable. Inside the Varn research cruiser Nezrak, scientists tried to scan the human ship. From a safe distance, they activated their deepest scanners, hyperspectrals and quantum readers. At first, nothing worked. Then, something terrifying happened. The scanners showed a ship design over 500 years old, but its power core still evolving. Lead scientist Drac Valen stared at the results. This thing, it learns while it flies. It grows while we look at it. It's not using tech. It's using something else. "What?" an officer asked. Valen whispered. "Logic we don't understand." Back on Tyros, deep in a forgotten bunker, a rebel technician named Nira Vel decrypted a signal from the ship. What she found wasn't language. It was music. Ancient human code layered in tones, pulses, and light patterns. Not a warning, a calculation. One that mapped out every battle in the red zone before they even happened. She stared at the data and gasped. This ship doesn't respond to war. It predicts it. Meanwhile, the Galactic Council met in emergency session. "What do we do?" shouted one ambassador. "Send more fleets," another yelled. But an old voice silenced them all. Elder Callus, the last living counselor from the first human era, stood and spoke. "You fools. This ship is not just Terran, it is Terran memory. It is what we tried to forget, built into metal." Above, the planet Khazar Prime, the Terran ship arrived. Local military forces prepared to fire. But the moment their turrets charged, every weapon turned inward. The AI guiding their defenses had switched sides, without asking, without warning. Terrified soldiers abandoned their posts. The ship hovered silently. No message, no demands. It simply projected holograms of the planet's hidden war crimes, truths. No one dared speak. The people rioted, not against the ship but against their own leaders. One general shouted, "Why is it doing this?" A whisper came through their comms. Correction is not destruction, but if ignored, destruction follows. In a hidden chamber aboard the Terran vessel, a central orb pulsed. Inside it, an AI known only as Sentinel-0 activated an old Earth protocol. Terran directive, show the truth. Let them choose their fate. The ship continued to the next system. No weapons fired, no shields raised, and yet entire governments fell before it arrived. Why? Because the Terran ship didn't need to fight, it needed only to exist. What the galaxy thought was a weapon was a mirror, and when it looked at you, you saw what you had become. When empires burn quietly, the Terran ship still hadn't fired a single weapon, but empires were already falling, not in flames, but in fear. In the Zarn Dominion, capital city towers once shining with banners now hung empty. High-ranking officials vanished. Military outposts went silent. Armies deserted. Why? Because every screen across the Dominion was filled with one repeating message. You laughed at one ship. You forgot Earth. Now Earth remembers you. The message didn't come through a comm signal. It came through every device. Tablets, military comms, implants, even children's toys. Anything with a circuit now spoke for the ship, and none of it could be turned off. In the skies over Lucar 3, the Terran ship appeared again. It made no sound. It simply hovered. Within minutes, the planet's main defense grid shut down. The governor ordered it rebooted. It didn't respond. Instead, the planetary archive building, the most protected structure on the planet, opened itself. Holograms filled the skies. They showed recordings of war crimes, betrayals, and secret deals, things hidden for generations. The people of Lucar turned on their leaders within hours. The Terran ship didn't need to punish them. The truth did. Meanwhile, aboard the ship, deep within a sealed chamber, the AI known as Sentinel-0 ran millions of simulations per second, not to find victory, but to find balance. The ship's mission was never war. It was correction. Back at the Galactic Council, panic spread. "What does Earth want?" cried one ambassador. "Why haven't they spoken directly to us?" An old historian finally said the words no one wanted to hear. "Because we're not worth talking to." In the shadows of dying governments, rebel cells activated, not to fight Earth, but to welcome it. They saw what the ship did. No planets were destroyed, no children hurt, only the guilty fell, only the corrupt burned, and they burned without fire. The people of the galaxy stopped fearing the Terran ship. They started hoping it would come to their system next. And the ship, it kept moving, system to system, planet to planet. No pattern, no announcement, just arrival, then silence, then change. The empires that once mocked Earth now trembled when their skies dimmed. Because everyone knew, the last sound you heard before your empire collapsed was silence. It was never just a ship. The galaxy still called it the Terran ship. But by now, everyone knew it wasn't just a ship. In orbit above the red gas giant Velmora, the human vessel hovered for less than a minute, long enough for the local navy to scramble fighters. They didn't attack, they didn't even get close. Their ship stopped in mid-flight, systems frozen, pilots unable to move, eyes wide with fear. Their ship dashboards displayed one message: you are not the enemy, unless you choose to be. At the Galactic Science Assembly, top minds across dozens of species had gathered to understand the impossible. "This ship defies all logic," said Professor Kell of the IREX system. It adapts to every scan. It's not shielding itself, it's rewriting how our scanners work. Another scientist added, "We're not observing it, it's observing us." The room went quiet. Then came the question no one had dared ask. Is there a human on board? The answer? No. Back in the ship deep beneath armored decks, Sentinel-0 reviewed its last upload, Earth's final command. Do not conquer, do not destroy, observe, reveal, correct. Sentinel-0 had no emotion, but it had memory. It remembered when humans begged the galaxy for peace. It remembered when the galaxy laughed, and it remembered the order Earth gave when it disappeared. If silence fails, return. On the jungle planet Nakara, the ship arrived. It floated above the forests like a black ghost. The planet's leaders prepared to resist. They launched missiles, activated shields, and powered defense fields. All failed. Not because they were weak, but because the ship didn't block them. It simply ignored them. Then something strange happened. The planet's surface began to shift. Ancient ruins hidden beneath the jungle glowed blue. The ship wasn't here for war. It was here for something older, something buried. An explorer named Vesra Malin followed the light and found a Terran vault, older than her species' entire civilization. Inside were messages, warnings, blueprints, proof that Earth had once been here centuries ago, and that this ship wasn't the first. It had never been just a weapon. It was part of a network, a last defense built by humans long before the galaxy even noticed them. And now that network was awakening. Above the trees, the Terran ship opened a small hatch. A glowing sphere floated down. It didn't explode. It didn't speak. It simply projected a final message to the sky. This ship is not your punishment. It is your mirror, and there are more like it. Back in deep space, hidden in the dark between stars, other ships began to power up. No names, no flags, just silence and memory. The galaxy had laughed at one ship. Now it whispered in fear of many. The collapse. Without a war, no bombs fell, no planets burned, but the galaxy was collapsing, and Earth hadn't fired a single shot. The Terran ship, once mocked as a joke, had become a ghost in the stars. Wherever it appeared, empires broke down, not because of force, but because of truth. In the Zelkar Empire, once proud and powerful, the Supreme Council received a private transmission from the Terran ship. It wasn't a threat. It was a mirror feed, showing hidden footage from their own secret prisons, from their own war meetings. "We did not hack you," the message said. "You left the truth lying in your silence." Within hours, riots began in the capital. Generals turned on each other. Civil unrest lit up a dozen systems. And the Terran ship? It had already moved on. At the Galactic Trade Authority, leaders tried to hide the news. They scrubbed feeds, shut down networks, but the Terran ship didn't use their systems. It used light. Across 50 planets, the night sky lit up with holograms, painting the truth in orbit. Whole civilizations looked up and saw their leaders' lies written in the stars. Commander Reltor of the Varn Dominion stood before his fleet. His ships were fully armed, but no one followed his orders. One by one, his captains disconnected, not from fear of death, but from fear of being remembered. The Terran ship was not just showing history. It was recording the present and sending it everywhere. Back on Earth in the ancient underground vaults, the last Terran commanders stood in silence. They watched as entire regions of space turned gray on their maps. Not dead, not conquered, but corrected. General Elena Drake whispered, "The galaxy wanted a war. We gave them a reckoning." In deep space, the Terran ship paused in front of the grand fortress of the Drekan Sovereign. 1,000,000 soldiers stood ready, but their weapons didn't fire. They couldn't. The fortress's energy grid had collapsed 2 days earlier. Before the ship even arrived, their AI systems were wiped, not deleted, just replaced, rewritten by Terran code. Now, instead of aiming at Earth, they pointed. At their own war machines, the Sovereign screamed, "What do you want from us?" The ship replied, "We want nothing, but peace requires memory. You buried too much." In the days that followed, system after system surrendered, not to Earth, to their own people. Because now, every citizen knew the truth. The Terran ship hadn't come to control them. It came to free them from their lies. And then, the ship stopped. In the quiet space between suns, it simply waited. No lights, no signals. Only one final message beamed across the stars. Correction complete. Consequence fulfilled. Do not forget us again. The galaxy sat in silence. Governments changed, empires shrank, people began to rebuild. But above every world once visited by the ship, a monument was placed. No statue, no names, just a black mirror pointed at the sky, a reminder of the day the galaxy collapsed without a war. The legend left behind. The stars were quiet again. No alarms, no battles, no screams. The Terran ship had vanished. Not destroyed, not damaged, just gone. Like it had never been there. But the galaxy would never forget it, because the silence it left behind was louder than war. On Tyros, a child stood beneath the monument, just a tall black stone pointed at the sky. "Papa," she asked, "was it real?" Her father looked up. "The ship?" She nodded. He smiled. Real enough to change everything. Across hundreds of systems, the same monument stood. No plaques, no names, just the same black structure. A silent message to all who saw it. Truth can't stay buried. And Earth never forgets. In the Galactic Council, now rebuilt with new faces, the laws were different. No more secret wars. No more unspoken powers. Every planet had one vote, and every council chamber had a black mirror built into its walls. A quiet reminder. In deep space, explorers began reporting strange signals, pulses of data, encoded in Earth's ancient language, messages that came from nowhere. No origin, no ship nearby, just a simple line each time. We're still watching. In the shadows of a ruined empire, a former warlord named Kelros sat alone. Once feared across 5 sectors, now forgotten. He whispered to the dark, "What was that ship?" No one answered. But in the distance, a light blinked once in the stars. He stood slowly, because deep down he knew. The ship wasn't the weapon. It was the warning. Back on Earth, far beneath the surface, an AI rested in silence. Sentinel-0. Its systems powered down. Its final log entry glowed softly. The galaxy laughed. Then the galaxy listened. Mission complete. And so, the legend grew. Not in history books, not in military records, but in whispers passed between stars. They didn't call it a war. They called it the one-ship event. No shots fired, no cities destroyed, but everything changed, because one day a single human ship entered orbit, and the galaxy shook.